So when I open up the application, this is more or less my home page I want to see. So this is what I would go to before I jump into any unit or any studying. I'll come to this page, which is also just a reminder with the motivation there, and then it gives you the breakdown of your 4 modules and some integrated questions as well. So let's say today's the day I'm here to study taxation. I'll come to this page and I'll click on taxation, right? That's going to redirect me to a page where I have a breakdown of all the different units that we've covered throughout the year. So you'll see there's semester 1 with everything underneath semester 1, and then semester 2 with everything underneath semester 2. I have some flagging notes and some numbering in the legislation, just some tips on that, and some useful tips, one-page summaries, content class lessons, and assessment lessons, and revision before assessments. So these are all extras. And then obviously the most important parts would be the actual content that we've covered throughout the year summarized. So when we get to RemNote, there are actually quite a few ways that we can utilize the app during our studies. And one of them would be the flashcard one, which is also the way I use the app, which I'll get to in more depth, but I'll just start off with the more basic steps. So on the right, you'll see there are a few numbers next to each unit, right? And that would just indicate how many flashcards each unit has, which also kind of gives you an indication of how long each unit will take you. But yeah, that just shows you, okay, this unit has 171 flashcards, and then you can open up the unit by actually clicking on the document sign on the left, and it will bring you to the content. So here, from top to bottom, it basically just starts from the basic principles, and it becomes more tricky the further we get down into the unit. So one of the ways in which you can study from this is by reading it simply as a document, which is not the most beneficial. Like I said, much rather use the flashcard version. It's a bit more interactive and makes the studying slightly more bearable, if I can call it that. But if you want to, you can read through it as well. So you'll see my structure of my summaries are in a question answer format. So the first part would be the question, and then if you open up that drop down, it will give you the answer. And all the flashcards, how I created them is using these arrows. So wherever you see an arrow, even though if it's pointing to the right or pointing down, that's a flashcard. So those are all questions. For example, the VAT definition. If you open that up, there is the VAT definition. You can close it again. So all these shaded dots, you'll see it's a bullet point with like a shadow around it. All of them can be opened up. They have content below. These ones that don't have a shade around them, they can't be opened up. Like there's nothing behind them. But these ones that have a shade, you can actually open them up and see what the content is. So how I used to use the flashcards is when you go here to the top right, you open up this drop down. There are 3 options, right? So I'll just jump to the practice all flashcards in order. You can also practice all flashcards. These are quite similar. The only difference between practice in order and practice all is that with practice all flashcards, it kind of takes all the questions I have in this unit and it mixes them together. So you can see question number 50 second, or you can see question number 100 in the 10th position. It just mixes them all up. Whereas if you practice them in order, it kind of runs from top to bottom. So your first question would be this one. With discussion questions, it is always an easy mark to get to state that a tax invoice is required to claim VAT. So that would be the first one. Then what is the VAT 5-year rule? That would be the second question. So studying it from top to bottom in that format. And I prefer that as well, especially when it's the first time you're studying a unit. It's just a bit confusing when everything is mashed together. So to show you what that looks like is when I open it up, here is that first question. With discussion questions, it is always an easy mark to get to state that a valid tax invoice is required. There we have it. And then you get 3 options. So you either remember the question. I'm on the wrong side. You either remember the question, you got it wrong, or you can skip it. So skipping it is like when you accidentally open the answer, you weren't actually ready to look and you accidentally open it, you can skip it. And it's just going to move it to the end of this deck. So the deck is 171 cards, which is basically the whole of that revision, the VAT revision unit. So it moves it to the end, and you'll see it at the end once you get to the last flashcard. Then if you forgot the flashcard, it takes the flashcard and it moves it 4 or 5 positions forward. So you'll see the flashcard like in position 6 or 7 of your deck, right? Again, so you got it wrong, you're going to see it again until you get it right. So that cycle is going to repeat until you eventually get the question correct. So you're learning from your mistakes. That's basically the purpose of it. And then that's also why I prefer using the flashcards rather than just reading through the document. And then the last one, remember, when you click remember, you got it right. You're not going to see it again today, unless you want to, obviously, but it's going to fall out of this deck. So when I click here, you'll see it becomes 170 cards due and no longer 171. So when I say forgot, oh, remember, there we have 170. If I got this one correct as well, it becomes 169 and 168. And I'm just going to run through a few, let's say until 160. Right. So there we are on card number 160. Now, if I get one wrong, it's going to remain 160 because I need to get that one right before it disappears, basically. So if I got it wrong, it still remains 160. Wrong, it remains 160. Then I'll get one right again, 159, and so on. So that's basically just how the flashcards work, and you know what happens to them once you get them right, once you get them wrong. And then another point is, let's say you ran through a unit. So let's take something a bit more tricky, like I don't know, let's see what could corporate reorgs. That's quite a tricky topic, right? So let's say you went through all 47 flashcards. So you can't, you know, it says 0 out of 47 because you went through all of them. But it's such a tricky topic that you really want to go through it again. That's no problem. You can just go there. You can say practice all flashcards or practice all flashcards in order, and they'll pop up again. You'll see it's going to say 47 cards. You're going to have to go through all 47 again. So it basically just, even though you've covered all of them, it doesn't exclude you from doing it a second time. The main purpose of actually showing you that you've covered those flashcards is just that you see, okay, I covered that unit, I can go to the next one, if you don't keep track of it yourself. So yes, that would be the first points to point out. Another thing I think is worthwhile mentioning is when I go to something like management accounting, format and the way you present your answer is often very important, even in accounting. So what I would do in my summaries is I would add in an example of what that would look like in a paper, just so you can get used to seeing what, you know, the structure and how to present that. So here I have examples of screenshots where I've added that in, and it's actually part of a flashcard. So obviously, when you're busy working through your flashcards, I just want to show you what that would look like on a flashcard. You'll see it says example of a good free cash flow valuation framework. And you can say, show me the answer, and it will show you what that looks like in the right format. So you have the different years and the different items you want to write in, and then just what to do with that. So it's usually just screenshots out of like learning guides or past papers or whatever the case may be. But that would be more or less what it looks like. In something like accounting, an extra thing I also added there, just to find a place, is let's take a difficult topic like IFRS 16. At the bottom of IFRS 16, I will add in you know, examples that you can refer to, like the illustrative example 24. In the IFRS 16 lessee document, there will be more examples because it's a bit more important. Let's just load. There we go. So here we have, you know, a whole lot of examples that we can refer back to question bank, you know, accounting standard questions, and the whole lot. So I'll add that in as well. And then the formats, like I said, and showed you, that would be there too. So just something extra that I add in for your benefit as well. And the next thing I want to show you guys is just some additional questions that you can actually work through. I made 3 different documents, being content class lessons, assessment mistakes and lessons, and revision before assessments, which are basically old question bank questions and exam papers that I've done and lessons that I've learned from that. So you'll see like here's IFRS 16 leases, revenue, control, every type of question that I did a past paper or a class example or question, actual question for, will be available here. So you can open that up. You'll see it's kind of like a screenshot where I have a screenshot of the required, the information, and then basically the scenario, the solution to that. If you open up that, there's a solution to that. And it is also available in the flashcard version. So if you want to see what that looks like, you can actually study that in a flashcard as well. So you have the required, there you have the info, and then the question there with the solution. So it's all in that a screenshot version. If I could obviously copy and paste the details, I'll do that rather than adding in the screenshot, but sometimes it's not possible. So that would be there. And the same thing goes for assessment mistakes and revision before assessments. And then another cool feature is just if I go to something like tax, because I'm thinking of a specific example now. If you're struggling with, let's say, for example, connected persons, right? You can actually go here. You can hit Control F on your keyboard to find. Then you just change that to filter. And you can actually type in connected persons. I'm just going to say connected person. So just give it some time to filter the results, because it does have to look through quite a lot of notes. And you'll see it filters eventually. It filters everything that has to do with connected persons. And you can actually then run through those notes if there's a specific item that you're struggling with. So here you'll see, okay, eventually it pulled through. So we have all the different notes that I've made where connected persons popped up, right? So you can either then click on like here, you can see it's a startup assessment, there's information, and then the question, and then this was like kind of in the answer somewhere. So you can actually go to this info tab. If you click on that info tab, it will take you to that page. Here's objective test question. There I mentioned something about connected persons, and you can actually read through many of these. So if you want to open a specific one, let me get a good example. Disposal of debt owed by a connected person. Let's say I want to look at that, right? You can actually just click on that bullet and it will take you to that place. You can close that, and here you have disposal of debt owed by a connected person, and you can read through this, the notes I made under that bullet, right? So that's just another cool feature. You know, if there's something specific that you're struggling with, you can just search that quite easily on the keyboard, on the app. Then just some navigating tips. If you want to go back to, let's say, the home page, you can open up this sidebar here by clicking on the double arrow there, and it will take you back to the sidebar. Here is like a little shortcut page to all the different unit modules, and then obviously your home page as well. So if you want to go to auditing, you can open up auditing. If you want to go to management accounting, you can click on that. It will take you to management accounting, right? So it would all be there. You can also go back to your home page, and we're here. So you can close that again. I want to open taxation. Then there's also another feature. So if I'm in court cases, for example, and I want to go back to tax, so instead of going here, I can just click here on a breadcrumb. So they call these breadcrumbs at the top. You can click on the breadcrumb. It's going to take you back to the whole of tax, all the different units as well. So that's the first point. Then another great thing, and I'll also show you how I used it, but it's quite a handy feature in this app, is when I go to something like let's see, residency, right? There are quite a lot of section references that we need to know, especially in CTA, because we are allowed to use our handbook, our legislation. It's a lot easier if you know where to find the section to refer back to it, rather than memorizing everything. So I made it a goal for myself to really know my section numbers. So I've tagged everything that has a section number. So here you'll see I said what section should come to mind when ceasing to be a vendor. and that will be section 9H, right? I'll tag that as sections. You'll see later on there's another one. Section applicable for determining that capital gain earned in a foreign country is to be included in the SA tax calc. That would be a paragraph, but it's also, I tag it as a section. There's section 6 squat. I also tag that. So throughout the whole of taxation and in accounting, I did that for the standards as well. So all the IFRSs, all the ISAs. And in auditing, I also did that for the different IAS standards. So all of them have been tagged in the different modules as well. So in tax it's sections, in accounting it's standards, and in auditing it would be standards as well. Then to study those sections, right, what you'll do is you'll come here to the revise before assessment page. You can also find it in the one-page summaries. So here in the one-page summaries, at the bottom, you'll see I made a hashtag sections, and you can see that same sections popping up here. You click on that, and it's actually going to take you to a different document where all the different section numbers are listed. So here are all the different section numbers and what they refer to. So when you want to study that, you can actually just click on that, and it's going to give you the flashcard. So there we are, employer's contribution to a retirement fund. We want to see the section. There we have 11I or L, I think that's L. Then recalled, deemed source income, section applicable. You can click on C. There you have the answer. So you can run through all of the different sections as you would normally study them. But what I would usually do is I'd study these section numbers the day before the assessment. So they are quite fresh in my mind. Obviously, I've done this quite a while back because I'm no longer studying, I'm working now. But when I did study, I do this the day before the paper so that the section numbers are quite fresh in my mind. And obviously, the more you do this, the better you get in remembering the sections. And like you see, as you can see, the section numbers or the number of flashcards are reducing as I'm getting them correct. You know, there we have section 13, section 23, section 18.5, and the whole lot. So there we have dividend withholding tax exemptions, section 64F, changing use adjustment section in the VAT Act, that would be 18.1. So we have all of them listed as well, the VAT and the normal Income Tax Act sections. So you can study all of them here. And once you've completed that, you'll also see that showing 0 out of 202. Then moving back to the actual tax document. Another nice thing I have in each and every unit is I've added in all the examples that we had in class. So whether that be class examples from the physical lectures on campus, or whether that be class examples on the slides in the PDFs that we receive, or PowerPoint presentations we receive, in whatever form the example is lectured, I'll add that into my summaries. So you'll see here, I put it as a pin. See, it's these little red points that are on the summaries. So once you click on that, it says see example. You can click on that, and it actually opens up the example to your right. So you'll see there we have it, and it takes you to the exact page where that example has been highlighted. So here you can now read through it, and you can actually complete the example, and the next one, there's a solution. If you want to see the next example, you can click on the next one. It takes you to that. The following one, we have that as well. So I've basically added in all the examples from the class, from the presentations or the PDFs or the Word documents that we receive, and I've added them in here with the solution as well, just for ease of use, so I don't have to jump between my RemNote and my slides and my book and physical notes. Everything is on one place here, and that was kind of the intention of this whole RemNote notes, saving the notes on RemNote. So that would be one of the other points. And then let's say you're getting closer to the end of the year and you don't really have the time to cover each and every unit as you would in the beginning. You're starting to run out of time. The pressure is building. You're struggling with the new content. You can't get to the old content, whatever the case may be, or you just want to revise some of the content. I did make one-page summaries as well for that exact purpose. So the one-page summaries are kind of like the tricky parts in each module that are hard to remember. So the things that we tend to remember, the basic principles, I won't put that in the one-page summaries, but the more tricky things I'll put in the one-page summaries. So they in each of the different modules, we do have, so in tax accounting, all of them, we have a document called one-page summaries. So you can click on that and it will take you to this page. So you'll see it's not actually a document that you can open, but here on the right-hand side is how you open the document, right? So it's also called a hashtag pretty much. So you can open the VAT one-page document or the court case or the residency. So for example, if I click here for the residency, I can click on that and it's going to take me, I only have 53 flashcards to study here. Whereas if I go back to my tax document and I look at the residency, it actually had 164 flashcards, and I reduced it to 54 in the one-page summaries. So it's quite a lot less than, you know, the 53, quite a lot less than the original document. And then you can also go back to, let's say, for example, VAT one-pager. Here we have the VAT one-pager. You'll see it's only 78 flashcards. Whereas if I go to taxation, that was these two combined, which is over 200 flashcards, where I combine them into one hashtag or one pager, being less than 100. So it is easier then to maybe cover the content that you need to, although those are going to be the harder flashcards basically. But they are there as well for those who run out of time or who simply want to revise certain topics but don't want to cover everything again, because to be honest, like a lot of the things in VAT, when you come to the final assessment in October, you've covered it so many times, it's kind of getting like boring to run through it every single time. So that's why the one-page summaries are there. All right, and that's about it from my side relating to RemNote. Just some final words. This application is available on all laptop devices, so whether that be Mac or Windows, you can download that from the internet. And it also has an Android version and an iOS version, so you can download it on your phone or your iPad or your tablet, and you will be able to study from there. It is cloud-based, so it is uploaded to the cloud. You can access it online as well on the web version. So that's also an option, although I tend to prefer the laptop version. But the phone version or the Android version is also quite nice, especially if you're like on a bus or traveling, or you forgot your laptop somewhere or you didn't take it with you, but you know you run over time and you have to study. You actually have that option as well. And the flashcards on the cell phone device is quite nice. I must admit, I was quite impressed with the layout of the flashcard, even being on your phone. So those are all options. And then just to add on to that, it is available online and offline, right? So initially, you're going to obviously have to download the app, download the summaries, import the summaries. And then once you've done all of that, you can actually access your summaries offline. So you don't have to be connected to the internet the whole time. You can work offline and it will all work perfectly fine. So yeah, that's about it from my side. All the best with the study, guys. I really hope this was a beneficial video and that it makes the studying, using the app makes the studying slightly more bearable.